Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to this channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. So, today we're going to be looking at the current issues that led to the Palestinian Israeli crisis. The current issues that led to the Israeli Palestinian crisis. In my previous videos, I've actually tried to catalog the historical antecedents, to the Arab-Israeli crisis. You know, I've always said that one of the major rule or root of that conflict was, was the fact that, apart from the fact that the Arab is actually, or the Arab world is actually the cradle of civilization. Now, the three religions of Christianity, is Islam, and Judaism actually emanated from that place. Now, you can actually refer to the crisis that has engulfed the Middle East as happening as a result of too much history and too much history and with little geography. Okay, so the Arab-Israeli crisis, or the crisis in the Middle East, is as a result, like I said, is as a result of too much history and no geography, or little geography. Don't forget that the Middle East is regarded as the cradle of civilization. I've actually talked about that one. Okay, now the formative years of Israel continued until the 70th, 70th AD. Okay, when the Roman legion conquered Jerusalem. Now, when they conquered Jerusalem, they actually destroyed the temples, exiled the Jews, and renamed the region Palestine. Okay, now during the First World War, okay, that ended in 1918, parts of the defeated nations were actually taken over by victorious nations. Okay, now these areas actually became known as what we, as bandit territories. And then in 1920, Britain actually received the control of Palestine and promised to help build a home for the Jews there. Now, after the Second World War that claimed more than 6 million lives of the Jews, okay, now it was resolved that, as compensation to them, Palestine be divided into two, so as to create a Jewish homeland there. Now, this resulted in the British seal of the approval of the Zionism aspiration in the famous Balfour Declaration. Okay, now this marked the beginning of the conflict, and then the Arabs in the land were actually aggrieved by the declaration by the British authorities, because according to them, the resettlement of the Israels, you know, of the Israelis in that land would deprive them of their land, job opportunity, political power, and thus they embarked on series of wars and against the Jewish people. Now, what are the current issues that led to the Palestinian Israeli crisis, or what you can call the Arab Israeli crisis? What are the current issues? Current issues. Now, the current issues are: number one, the control of Jerusalem. Control of Jerusalem. Now, each of the both sides are actually laying claim to the city of Jerusalem. For the Jews, Jerusalem is the former location of the Jews' temple and capital of ancient Israel. Okay, you know. Now, it is also the site of Jesus' crucifixion and Church of the Holy Culture, for the, you know, and Church of the Holy Culture. Now, for the Palestine or for the Palestinians, it is a site of Muhammad's night journey to heaven and Al-Aqsa Mosque. Okay, that is number one. So they control over Jerusalem. Who takes control over Jerusalem? Is it the Jews or the Palestinians? That is number one. Number two is the location of holy sites. The location of holy sites. Now, how does this actually be an how is this an issue that is actually ravaging both countries? Now, Israel has banned Muslims from worshipping at Joseph's tomb. Okay? Okay. Now, the Palestinians actually kept their scroll. Okay? They kept their scroll there. Okay? Now, the Joseph's tomb was actually a shrine considered sacred by both Jews, okay, and the Palestinians. Now, the Palestinians also worship in that place. Now, but they are laying claim to some of these holy sites, and that is actually a very big problem, a source of conflict between both parties. Number three is Israel's settlement at the West Bank. Okay, now the settlement of Israelis in the West Bank has been described by the UK and EU as an obstacle to peace process. This is because it has been the cause of intercommunal conflict, okay, between both parties. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that, Israel actually, settling at West Bank is a very big problem, okay, because the Arabs looks at that, they look at that as an infiltration of aliens into their lands, okay, which is actually a source of conflict. Another one is Gaza blockade. Now, because of the fact that Hamas has actually been launching attack rockets from Gaza into Israel, they have actually blockaded. They have built a wall to actually blockade Gaza. So the activities of terrorist groups like Hamas, at the Gaza Strip, actually led to the violent takeover of Gaza in 2007, and how they have used that place as a launching pad of rocket attacks against Israel, and that led to the blockading, the blockading of what? Of Gaza by the Israel authorities. Okay, so those are the things. No, so that's actually another source, another current issue. Another current issue is actually the role of superpowers. The US has been accused to be a major supporter of Israeli-Palestinian conflict because it has supported Israel in supplying them with weaponry and finance. Saudi Arabia has also been accused, as well as the Arab League, has also been accused of supporting the Palestinians in the area of finances. Okay, so those are the things. Then the last one is lack of recognition of the state of Palestine by the UN. Okay, now if a two-state solution has been proffered, then why has the UN not recognized the two-state solution? Okay, so those are the things. Now, what are the reasons why most of the peace process have actually failed? Okay, the reasons are: number one, hypocrisy on both sides. Hypocrisy on the side of both parties. Now, there are so many peace process that has been put, in place. We have the Oslo peace process, Camp David Accord. There are so many of them, okay? But both parties, have not as actually refused to cease fire, and the reason is that some groups in Palestine actually continue to attack, Israel, and that has been a major problem. Okay, number two, the Palestinian authorities, as well as some other, Arab states, have been accused of fraternizing with terrorist organizations like Hezbollah, Hamas, and ISIS. All of these, are actually, the major reasons why, the war is subsisting. Then the last one is, the next one is societal attitude. This is in the area of mutual intolerance between, Israel and Palestine. That's the Israelis and Palestinians. There is actually a mutual intolerance between these two groups, and that has actually been a major challenge, or a major reason why, the peace process keeps, falling like a pack of cards. Another one is the role of external powers. I've talked about the role of US, Saudi Arabia, as well as, the Arab League. They will come out and say they condemn the crisis, they condemn the loss of life, they condemn, but they are all playing politics with innocent lives, in the Middle East, which is actually not very good. Now, what are the solutions? The solutions. Now, I want to proffer certain solutions, or some solutions, to the Arab-Israeli crisis. What are the solutions? Number one, establishment of economic and security cooperation between Israel and Palestinian authorities. You understand? There is a need for both countries, or for both sides, to come together to establish, economic and security cooperation. You understand? To ward off all of these terrorist organizations like Hezbollah, Hamas, and all of that. That's number one. Number two, leadership of both countries, or both sides, should consciously decide to make peace and orientate their citizens to follow suit, until both leaders actually sit together to say, or the leaders, at the Arab, the Middle East, until they come together to say, we genuinely want to make peace. The peace process will continue to fall. Okay. Number three, both Israel and both Israeli and Palestinian authorities should form a common front to tackle terrorism, such as Hamas and Hezbollah. Okay. Then number four, the recognition of the two states approach to this crisis, to the solution to this crisis. Both parties should recognize each other's differences and appreciate them. They should recognize each other's differences and appreciate them. Now, these are the solutions which I think will actually lead to the end of the crisis. Then the UN must recognize the state of Palestine, must actually, honor the two-state solution that they actually proffered in the past. Okay, then these big countries, I'm talking about, the superpowers, the Arab League and Saudi Arabia, as well as, the Western world, including the US, they should actually eschew, their interest. They should reduce fueling the crisis. They should stop it. That is actually what is bringing all this crisis. Thank you very much.